Hello and welcome to the comic portion of this video where I basically kind of ad-lib and talk about how I did the comic effect in Built in the 80s. So starting off, I had to make the template for the entire comic, which I did in Photoshop. If I can just get the, here we go. It's pretty simple. I just had the boxes evenly dispersed. I knew exactly what lyric verse I wanted to do for each box, and I knew I wanted to do a kind of a big frame, like a kind of wide frame scene, so I added 2 verses down here at the bottom. And after I was done with that, I basically went to SFM and I rendered out multiple images. I rendered out multiple of these types of poses. This has already been edited. Sadly I don't have it non-edited, but essentially what I did to give it kind of this cartoony look, I guess not really cartoony, but very grungy look, I went to After Effects filter gallery, and then I added the poster. That poster? It doesn't matter. This effect, and then I just kind of ramped it up to these settings to give it that. For Chica, I increased her black level so that her darkest area isn't completely black, and I gave her a stroke outline, and that kind of gives it a comic look, I'd say, no, in my opinion. And I did this 3 times to get kind of like the walking animation. I did the same effects for each of them, and I also rendered out this one background image, which I do have an original for, actually, which is this. And then I did the same things. I kind of edited it to make it look nice. And in After Effects, what I did was I basically keyframe animated it really simply and easily. I made it so that each individual panel on the comic is 1920 by 1080, so that when it goes into these smaller spaces, I can easily crop, or like if I need to readjust it, I can easily move it without the fear of having like the edges lost to the void or something, like whenever you do kind of exact stuff like this. But I guess let's go through each of the panels. We talked about Chica. For the bite victim, I did the same thing. For panel 2, I did here's the bite victim. I did the same effect, and I didn't actually make it a PNG like the rest of these. Like, you notice how it has the checkered backgrounds. I didn't remove it because the flashlight light is actually there, and it doesn't work well, I suppose, to kind of like make something transparent. Well, it's really difficult for me, I suppose, to make something that is opaque on an image transparent, like a glass bottle. That would be difficult for me to kind of take out from a scene and then try to make it transparent. So I left that, and in After Effects I just simply added a green screen key light effect and I was able to get the transparency that I wanted from this. This one's really simple, nothing really of special note here. This is also not really special because this is just Fredbear. He's just breathing. This Fredbear boy breathing. We like that here. But Fredbear is basically the same situation as Chica. I actually only have 2 images for Fredbear. Kind of that, and then I guess what I did was I don't remember what I did. I kind of I kind of faded in each of the breaths, I suppose, to kind of make it blend kind of 2D-ish, so it's not actual 3D animation breathing. Going on to Jacobani, oh lord. This one was a little bit of a challenge, and it's gonna look so awful when you notice, but this is how it looks like without the whole comic filter, because it has just like the cartoony filter. I added in a comic filter later, but for Jacobani, he's actually in segments, which is what was seen in the previous ones, the out of camera shot. I have this PNG of Jack O'Bonnie without his arm, and then I have one with the arm, except the green screen, so that I'm able to move the foreground closer, and I can move this Jack O'Bonnie further back to kind of create a parallaxing effect. I believe it's called the parallaxing effects, where like I'm essentially creating depth from these two images. It's 2.5D. This entire thing is just 2.5D, if you want to explain it like that. But I kind of gave him a head animation for this. Like, you can see how the head moves, but it's really let me add in a white background so that you can see how they're just cropped. It's really bad. I masked out the jaw and then I moved it outward. It's really lazy. It's really bad, but it does the job because it's obstructed by stuff. You don't really notice it when you watch it anyway, so I'd say, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I thought this would load. So we did Jack O'Bonnie, I guess the confrontation with Nightmare Foxy now. These are all just layers again. So what you can do in your own video editing softwares is, I forgot to touch upon this in the beginning, but you can essentially just have the layers scale up and just reposition them that way. But what I did to kind of, I just wanted to experiment, because this was a time where I'm just like still learning new editing techniques. So this isn't the best that it could have been if I were doing it. I can do this way better now, but back in early 2019, I was still experimenting with new things. But in After Effects, I gave it its like own camera, and each of these is its like layer. So this is like the Foxy one. Like if I move it behind this line, that's the background panel, so I don't want to do that. For the bite victim, it's basically the same thing. This is so extra. You don't even need this 3D camera in After Effects, but I did it because I wanted to anyways. Foxy is actually the same story, except I think worse, because his legs move and his body moves. But let me just get the white solid background again. And ooh no. I didn't even crop it out nicely. Oh no. There's this leg. Oh, that's gone. And I left a bit of the background of the outline with it. Oh no, this is looking awful. So yeah, that is not the best that it could have been, but I think for how it is, it's serviceable. This was a pain, not because this is just a moving picture. It's not even worth looking into, but I do have a gripe with the model in the map, because this is how it looks. You can't change any of like the segmented parts for the clock. I had to actually go in and not mask it out, but like, use the polygon lasso tool and kind of block it all out, because the SFM model would not allow me to edit the time. And that was fun, because I also had to do it for these scenes here. Like for the 2 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, the 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, etc. I had to edit all of those, and it wasn't hard, but it was definitely a pain. Going back to the comics though, the last panel here also uses the camera effect, the 3D camera in After Effects, but it's significantly simpler. So we have the child zooming in. I didn't know what keyframe interpolation was back then, so he just kind of runs in and stops dead movement, and that's not great. I'm sorry for that. I'll do better in the future, I swear. Actually, I kind of did do better. I made the hide and seek video back in Halloween. That's my redemption. I'd say that's my redemption video. The elements for this segment is just a transparent bite child and the transparent nightmare, which uses the same Nightmare Chica effects, where I make the characters darkest darks, not dark, and I gave it a completely black outline to kind of separate them from the background. which is very simple and not very very interesting to look at. So that's how I did this. That's basically it in regards to in regards to each individual panel. If you go back to the main composition, each one of them here has like start and stops, because I want each of them to initiate like when the beat goes, so boom boom boom, and then like each segment starts. So just like here, this layer, this is when the Jacko Bonnie scene starts, etc. And yeah, I do this a lot. I like to work in a lot of pre-compositions because I like to easily group things and like keep things kind of neatly organized. But if I were to want to like go back to the composition with Foxy, I could scroll through like this list, like in these folders, because I kind of did organize them like that. But if I didn't, I'd have to like double click this composition. I have to then, I completely clicked the wrong composition. All right, ignore that. This one, I had to go this one. I still clicked the wrong one, but my point still stands. This one and then this one. So that's like multiple layers to get through. It's nice. It's really nice. I still do it, but I guess it's just a lesson to organize your assets here. Please organize your assets here, especially if you're doing a collaborative thing. It's so annoying to have to not be able to find what you're looking for in a fast manner. So please just do us and do yourself a favor, because organization is key, and organization is always good. You should always organize. But yeah, after all of this, I render it out as image sequences. That's the word. I'm sorry. I'm kind of ad-libbing all of this, and I'm leaving in all of my horrible voice recordings. But I add in all of this because PNG sequences I always do image sequences because they're significantly higher quality. They don't lose quality whenever you export them out like that. If you do it as an MP4 and you render it out as, I don't know, the H.264 codec, and you don't have settings that aren't super high quality, you're going to lose some details in your video, which is also what I do for SFM. I always render as a PNG sequence from SFM. But once I have this, it's time for me to get this look. With all the dots and the comic stuff. I won't be going in detail how to do this. I followed a video tutorial for this, so I'll show the video tutorial on screen now, and then I'll link it in the description. But if you want to know how I did this part, there's a much better tutorial out there already. But for all these images, you have to apply them all individually if you're gonna do it by hand. But we live in the 21st century. What Photoshop can do is it has actions. It has these pre-programmed. I made my own program for this. It's a sequence of commands and a sequence of actions that you do to get the effect that you want. And you can batch action these. You can batch an entire folder of images to run this one sequence. So you don't have to do this by hand. And that did take quite a while. It took me about maybe 12 hours to get through this entire folder of 1,584 frames, because this was rendered in 60 FPS. So that was, 1,500 frames into all of these. I don't have my action now, sadly, but it's essentially just a automated command for me to do to apply this one effect across an entire folder of images, which saved me so much time. So I guess get into that, because that's pretty neat. And once I have this, I import it as an image sequence, and I would not have done this today. I would have done this in After Effects, but I keyframed every single movement in Premiere Pro, and I'd just like to say I absolutely hate Premiere Pro with a passion. I don't know. It's such, it lags, it's slow. This is a rant for another time, but like, Oh my god, there's so many problems with this software. Oh my god, I can't switch to anything else either because this is the only software I know how to use, so I'm kind of stuck with it, sadly. But yeah, I keyframed all of this in Premiere Pro, and I would have done this in After Effects now. Please know that. But yeah, after that, the effect is basically done. So yeah, I'm not sure this is the best way or not, but this is the best I found for myself and how to do it. You do have to swap between 3 softwares, or 4 softwares technically, because SFM counts as one to do this. But yeah, do with this information what you will. I know Mr. Brino was inspired by this sequence, which makes me really happy because Mr. Brino was one of my inspirations for SFM, so that made me really happy to see when he messaged me that. But yeah, I'd like to see other people try and adopt this style and see if it kind of catches on in the community or so. But yeah, I think this kind of wraps up the entire behind the scenes for Built in the 80s, like the entire video.